Sharky's motors, huge sharks guaranteed.
Guaranteed?
More fish than Finding Nemo.
Wow!
Ladies and gentlemen, behold the wonders of the deep.
This sucks. Yep.
We won't take you for a ride. Insurance is a promise to pay. At Beacon, we keep our promises.
Good evening and welcome again to You Decide. I'm your host Byron Campbell. And this evening we have a very special guest. He is Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, the Prime Minister Grenada Carriacou and Petite Martinique. And we are in conversation looking at the 100 days and counting of the new administration. Welcome, Dr. Mitchell, to You Decide.
Well, it's good to be back again.
Yes.
You decide.
It's your second program since you're in office, actually.
That's right.
Pleased to have you, sir.
That's right.
Again, you know, I always have to start off with you by complimenting you on your excellent physical condition, sir. The discipline and the dedication that you're demonstrating, I feel, is certainly an example for the nation to follow. You know,
I hope others are following.
I think so. I mean, I must recognize you and touch base on this with you every time I see you, sir.
Good, thanks.
Yeah. I want to begin our conversation where you ended your address to the nation earlier this month, when you said, fellow citizens, our economic revival has begun. You also said that the fundamentals for recovery are strong. But tell us, what are the indicators of the economic revival that you speak about and the fundamentals of the recovery that you reference, sir?
I think when you're dealing with an economy, the fundamental basis upon which an economy will move forward, and you've seen it in the United States, and you've seen it all over the world. Whenever they are talking about economic opportunities and prospects, they talk about measurement of consumer confidence. That's fundamental. And there is no doubt that there is a level of confidence among the citizens of the country at various levels that you have never seen before. In addition to that, I think our ability to sell the need for that restructuring of our debt, and placing emphasis and spurring economic activity, and espousing the philosophy that the smaller the government, the better, and that we will work strongly on the question of reducing wastage in the system, and of course providing incentives for people to produce, and putting emphasis, as we did on what we perceive as the holding budget that we had when we just came into office, on the productive sectors of the economy. And we see people taking up that sort of indication from government. We talked a lot about reducing taxes as an incentive for economic activity. We're getting people to decide to do things. And we are noticing that strong activity start taking place in the construction sector. We are seeing in terms of material, movement of materials in the country and around the country as a whole. So we are seeing this, and I think overall we have been able to get the understanding of our regional international community. A lot of successful negotiations have already taken place. And we, of course, have to time the announcement for it. And in terms of dealing with our regional international debt, we have been able to get the support of many of the international and regional institutions on the way forward as far as a serious program for economic development is concerned. So I think overall, when all is said and done, I think people will see, and in fact, we'll see soon. In fact, only next week, after the 1st of July, we'll see a number of government initiative programs that aid the movement of disposable income on the ground in the country at all levels. We are starting a number of programs that will see thousands of persons out on the ground doing something productive to help their country, and at the same time earning a few dollars to lift the weight, a burden from the people of the country. So overall, I would say that I'm very optimistic.
Think about it.
Yes.
In your address again, you highlighted a proactive approach taken by your administration to regularize outstanding payments with a number of institutions, including UWI, Kuwaiti Fund, the World Bank, OECS, RSS, and the nation, in fact, were appalled at to learn about these non-payments and the implications to the country. But is it a fact that our ability, however, to meet these commitments were only possible due to the continuing defaulting situation we have on our national debt? In other words, because, for example, in the budget, we had a total of some 456 million budget to meet as public debt. Of course, we're defaulting on this. This money that we're saving monthly, is that a fact that primarily... So my question is, does the country have the sustained ability to meet these ongoing obligations when we resume our debt servicing?
First of all, I can't say that we're continuing to default, because I think we stated that we wanted a restructuring of our debt, and our bondholders, in fact, have basically agreed to hold serious discussions with that. So it's not a question, there's no default anymore.
Defaulting is a question that you're moving to a negotiation.
Right, we're moving forward as far as that. So there is going to be a rescheduling or maybe a reduction in the overall debt in the country. So there will be, we hope to be able to reach an achievement, to achieve a reduction to the point that is manageable for the country. But I think also the key thing is whatever we do, spurring economic growth must be the fundamental aspect. Anything else will not work. If a country has, let's say, a small debt, but absolutely no growth, even that small debt will not be met. But if a country has a much larger debt and there is buoyancy in the economic activity, the resultant revenue that will be in fact realized from those economic activity will in fact yield the resources necessary to meet your responsibility. So where we sit now, we are seeing signs that given that we will in fact achieve some debt restructuring, given that we have the sympathies of the international financial community and of course friendly governments around the world, and given our emphasis is on spurring economic growth by the number of initiatives that we have taken that you will see being implemented, I think there's no doubt in my mind that you are going to see economic growth in the country, job creation, and business sector development at many levels in the country as a whole.
Because that's what we hear you saying mostly. The new economy, growing the economy, creating jobs. I mean, this you say is the fundamental to everything. One can see the optimism and your energy in this regard. But the reality, as in fact noted by a recent IMF report, Caribbean small states are facing extreme versions of problems faced by small states. Low growth, high debt, significant vulnerability to natural disasters, and low resilience to shock. These are real dangers. So the question is, are you taking on board, to what extent are you taking on board and preparing the nation for some kind of protracted, difficult time, notwithstanding there is growth?
Well, you have to plan for all eventuality, but you don't prepare just for the worst. You obviously have to take all possibilities into consideration. What I'm talking about is, based on the present climate, based on the fact that we are able to see serious initiative for investment in the country. Only last Saturday, a major investor, for example, someone that has over 24,000 hotel rooms in Europe and North America, that is not a small investor. They are now finalized the Silver Sand property last Saturday, and moving to start a major hotel project there. And there are a number of ongoing discussions which are close to fruition, where you would see additional investment from major players, not small players, major players. And therefore, if you have, as we expect, 2 or 3 of these starting not long from now, I think it would see that impetus of interest continued in the country. And what is significant about those investments is that these people have connection with major airlines. You know the chicken and egg situation, hotel rooms, airline space. Well, we are seeing people coming on board who have the connection with both airlines and hotel development. So I think we are seeing the best case possible.
Sandals one of those?
Well, Sandals were there before we came,
okay.
so we're not counting Sandals.
But one of the projects you talked about was the Rivera issue. Of course,
yes.
The owners of the lease have applied and they've received injunction preventing, in fact, the government from taking possession of the property. Is that a setback, and what's the status of that?
Well, let me say this. I empathize with the persons and friends of mine who had this property for years and were unable to develop it. And we are clear that this is a property that is needed for serious investment in the country. And therefore, government is certainly going to do what it has to do to be able to get the opportunity that is indeed available. And therefore, if we have to move to acquisition, then so be it. The reality is the country is bigger than me. It is bigger than my brother. And it's bigger than my friends. And that is precisely how I think this government intends to govern. What is best for the country, so it would be best for all of us. And therefore, we are moving to make sure that we are able to get that property and provide whatever possible compensation has to be made, if the courts so desire, to the individuals who had the opportunity to invest, to provide investment on that property in the past.
Well, one of following the 100 days, the opposition, we can call them the NDC, they're the opposition, they published a blistering critique of the administration first 100 days in office. Let me tell you some of the questions they asked. They said, where are the 1,000 jobs you promised in the first 100 days? They said, where are the investors that are lining up to come to invest? Where is the plan the NNP told the nation they had to rescue Grenada? They said not one single job has been created since the NNP has came into office.
Well, that's it. This is a voice in the wilderness, you know, and when you're in the wilderness and you're dying, you make a lot of wild lashes and noises. We are not worried, concerned. In fact, I hardly hear those noises. The honestly, truth is I don't.
Did you see their critique, though?
No, I don't, because I don't, you know, I believe the country voted for opportunity, not movie land, not the usual attacks and character assassination viciousness. We have a lot to say, but we're not saying it yet. But I make the point that we are focused on bringing opportunities. As I said, from next week you will see a number of major initiatives. I can tell you that a number of things could have started already had it not been for some of the decisions the past government made. I was surprised that some of the lands that we thought was government owned was sold in the last few weeks of government. Of the past government, which of course meant that we had to turn around now and start to negotiate with those that they sold it to be able to get those lands, to be able to provide the support to investors to do what they have to do. So clearly, there's a number of things happened. We were left with all our assets sold. You know, whatever we have to do, we must do further negotiations. That has stimulated us a bit, but it will not stop us. And therefore, we are focused on one thing, bringing opportunities to the people of the country. We are confident of where we are and where we are going. And therefore, within a short period of time, people will see that what they have heard are noises in the wilderness are people who have failed this country so badly. If I was in their position, I would hide myself for quite a few years before I come out of the curtain, hoping that the NNP would fail and so on. But to start making noises after 5 years of failure, of a disastrous period where most people suffered, and a few people made themselves happy and comfortable. Their family enjoyed the best of life. they got scholarships, they got lands, they got everything they wanted, while the majority of people suffered. In due time, some of them will hide their faces.
Mr. Prime Minister, we have to take a break. Viewers, please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Sharky's Motors, huge sharks guaranteed. Guaranteed? More fish than Finding Nemo.
Wow!
Ladies and gentlemen, behold the wonders of the deep.
This sucks. Yep.
We won't take you for a ride. Insurance is a promise to pay. At Beacon, we keep our promises.
Connect, explore, and engage with the latest in digital products from the world's best brands only at Quartz. Get a free LG mobile phone when you purchase the LG 42-inch Super Slim HD Plasma TV for only $29.99. Or save $200 when you get the LG DVD CD Mini System for only $9.99. Connect, explore, and engage now only at Quartz, bringing value home.
It's the 2013 Sprite Dunk Out and 3-point shoot. And where? 25th of May, Versailles, 8th of June, Renville, 15th of June, Carenage, 22nd of June, final venue to be announced, 29th of June. It's all starting from 5 p.m. There's gonna be DJs, live performances, giveaways, watch contestants battle for cash prizes. You could win some too. Adults $5, children $3. You don't want to miss this one, no way.
Moms may not always agree on what to serve their families, but one thing they agree on is when it comes to cheddar cheese for their macaroni pies, cheese dips, or sandwiches for school, nothing compares to Anchor Cheddar Cheese. Anchor Cheddar is made from the milk of New Zealand cows, is hormone-free, and has been making good Caribbean meals great for over 40 years. That's quality that has stood the test of time. With Anchor Cheddar, you've got great taste.
Flow Rhythms of Summer is here. Sunday, July 14th at the University Club in Lansapine, featuring Emerson Nurse and Barbara Cadet from St. Lucia. Local acts Caress, Men from the Mainland, Quiet Fire and Zama and Friends. Also featuring Mr. Killer and Brother B in a new different groovy style. Fashion show and Pan Wizards from 4 p.m. Concert at 5 p.m. Tickets $50. More at the door. On sale at Nikki's, Flow Outlets and Ardent Soul and Grandhands. 12 and under pay $20 at the door. Flow Rhythms of Summer, Sunday, July 14th from 4 p.m. at the University Club, Lansapine. Sponsored by Flow, CC6, Hubbards, Board of Tourism, Supreme Sounds, WeFM, Independence Agencies, Barefoot Wine, Wester Hall Estate, Gabriel's Rental, Francis Catering, SGU, Glenelg, Orton Soul, Ocean Grill, and Flamboyant Hotel.
Electrical safety tips. Stay away from power lines. Do not climb trees near power lines. Do not set ladders or scaffolds close to service wires connected to houses and buildings. Do not use electrical appliances near water. When working, make sure no electric wires run through the branches. Wear sturdy rubber-soled shoes when working with electric tools outdoors. Do not place any signs or posters on utility poles. This practice is dangerous, even life-threatening to the professionals who maintain our lines of electricity.
Be smart, be safe.
CC6 in association with Waggy Rental and Sons Company. The 4th season of CC6 Carnival Knockout rolls out on Saturday, June 29th from 5 p.m. at the Grateful Car Park in Big Parish, St. Andrew. Call your posse now for pure fun and excitement as the battle begins to crown the 2013 CC6 Carnival Knockout Champion. This competition brought to you by CC6 in association with Waggy Rental and Sons Company, Huggins, Agent 4, Angostura, Lipton, and Kleenex. Grenada Bottling Company, Creative Do It Best, Flow, and the Presidente, the official band of CC6 Carnival Knockout. We at the Grateful Car Park in St. Andrew on Saturday, June 29, 5 p.m. for the CC6 Carnival Knockout.
Welcome back, viewers. We're here with the Right Honorable Dr. Keith Mitchell, Prime Minister of Grenada, and we're looking at the first 100 days in office and counting. Dr. Mitchell, you've attended recently a number of high-level international meetings with the President of China, with the Vice President of the United States. In fact, you reported that from the President from China, you've been able to secure 20 million thereabout in grant financing to Grenada. But of concern to many in the region, not to, I suppose Grenada also, is a question of the Chinese construction and infrastructural projects. Loans, in fact, to Caribbean countries that would ensure a sizable number of the workforce on such projects are local people. There is respect for labor laws and industrial practices. How are you addressing these issues? How are we going to ensure that there are jobs for Grenada in these particularly bilateral, multilateral funding from China?
Yeah, we have made it very clear to our Chinese friends that the country is in a position where there's a lot of qualified workers at various levels, at various skills, and that we will not be able to accept an inflow of a lot of unskilled and labor force from any country for any project. I think they understand the Grenada's government's position, and we do not expect to see this. In fact, in the recent project we signed in St. Mark's, for the St. Mark's
for the flood mitigation
project, that they have agreed that only a few technical persons, I think 6 workers, will be from China, because we don't have all the engineers and the skilled persons, and they must have their management team on board. So we are not worried at this point in time. But I tell you what is most significant about my visit to Trinidad to meet with the president is that we had the opportunity for a much longer discourse with the president one-on-one, Grenada, than any other country. It was said the time given to Grenada, I don't know why, it was about twice the time given to any other country, I suppose, except for the host country, Trinidad, where he had a certain amount of days there. But significantly, I made it clear to my Chinese friends that they knew what I signed in 2004 or 5 for both athletics and cricket stadium. And the former government, in my view, foolishly, when making statements that was never signed, and the Chinese saw an opportunity to duck out from their responsibility. I made it clear that I'm now back. I know what I signed, and they know what I signed.
But the previous government said it never saw this document.
Well,
Go ahead, though.
Let me tell you, I asked them if they want me to give them. They never asked me for it, but they know it was there. What happened is that, Byron, is that there was the document, it said stadia, but they didn't know that stadia means more than one.
2, or at least 2.
That's the problem. Yeah. It's as simple as that. It is as simple as that. And after they found that out, they just keep repeating what they say the Chinese told them. They couldn't refer to the document anymore. But the Chinese have now accepted that. So we expect, in addition, their indications have agreed that in addition, they will now give us back the extra 1,000 houses.
Houses?
Yes. So we now have 2,000 houses again, and the stadium, it's close to begin very soon. The contract has been awarded, and they're now mobilizing. We expect within 2 months for the most. I told them I would love to have it ready for the next intercall in March or February, whenever it is next year. I don't know if it's going to be possible to finish that quickly. But that, to me, is a coup. But in addition to this, we have been able to submit a number of major projects for Chinese funding. And indications are we will succeed in getting a number of them. And in addition to that, we are able to negotiate for $20 million grant. We have now submitted a note to the Chinese government to have this grant immediately.
Is it discretionary grant, sir?
Yes, that is discretionary. We use it for what purposes internally.
But on the question of stadia, any relationship with what's happening in Brazil? The population is uprising against the government building stadia and sporting facilities, saying that money should in fact be going to development, to the people.
But I don't see any relevance or similarity.
But how do you see what's happening?
The Brazil government is investing billions of dollars.
Yeah.
We are not investing anything in
You're getting a
We're
grant.
getting a grant. Not
to
only
do
that,
this, yeah.
let's face it,
Yeah.
we have to come to terms with a new economy. The new economy would involve maximizing all opportunities in sports and all forms of sports. You see what one Kerry James can do to Grenada. We would have lost many Kerry James with the lack of facilities. We can afford to lose more. We are able to see a number of test cricketers coming from Grenada. With one test cricketer, if you stay on the team for a length of time, can bring enormous publicity to Grenada.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to build facilities to maximize the talent of all our athletes. We must have first-class facilities. Jamaica is benefiting a lot from that. We have to build facilities for football, not just in St. George's, not just in the national stadium, but facilities around the country. We are now in the process of lighting facilities, sporting facilities, so young men and women can go out at night time. Instead of wasting the energies and talent in the night on the blocks and doing things that may not in their best interest, we are now going to be lighting our fields around the country so that young people can be able to use their skills, develop their talents. So we believe the investment in a stadium, the investment in sporting facilities is certainly investment not just in the present, but also in the future of our country. And just like we invest in education, in healthcare, in all forms of development, it is going to be essential for a successful country. New economy means we have to take advantage of every single area that are possible.
Is the diaspora part of this, Dr. Mitchell? And let me say that the past government gave fair focus on this. In fact, they had an ambassador of the diaspora. What's your policy on this? We've not heard the announcements of an ambassador in this regard. What's happening there?
They created a job for somebody. You and I know that. And they gave her a title. I don't know where the ambassador is today. But I understand, we have said over and over, the initiative of expanding on what the NNP started in its first period of government to deepen the whole diaspora activities was indeed a good one. And there were clearly weaknesses. We saw the attempt to use it for petty political reasons. I don't think it should be used that way. So we are going to expand on this. The fact that we have also moved to reappoint one of the major players in the diaspora development program, which is Derek James in New York, to the anger of a number of our own supporters, is an indication that we see this as an important aspect for the way forward. Sends two messages that we are prepared to take the best among us, whether they support the NNP or not, for the development of the country, and also to deepen the whole question of diaspora activities. Therefore, we expect to see further expansion in that area.
There's two points I want to make from your last address. So the first has to do with you're talking about persons defrauding government, not paying taxes. But interesting, you said it's hurting the country and it's unpatriotic. But aren't these persons breaking the law, sir?
Of course they are. Of course they are. And in fact, I had meetings with Ministry of Finance and with the heads of departments, customs, immigration, and all the likes. And I said to them, I have great difficulty with selective justice. I know over the years, some of these units have in fact done everything to embarrass certain citizens in the country who may or may not have in fact transgressed against the tax laws of the country. And there are others who randomly just neglect or refuse to meet their responsibility, and they appear to be untouchables. I say to them, under my watch, particularly this time, having learned from the mistakes of the first time, I will not tolerate that selective justice. If you are going to pull X for lack of payment of taxes, do it to Y. Don't pull X and leave out Y. And therefore, that message is clear. All and sundry, whether they are NNPites, NDCites, or whoever ites, if you break the law not paying your share, fair share, if you're using the government taxes to run your business, then that can't be allowed. But I'm saying one cannot use it and get away, and another one is unable to do so.
Another comment you made, and I'm looking for understanding here. In the address to the nation, you said you're amazed at the sheer number of dishonest practice that was done in the name of the NDC administrations. The discoveries, you said, were horrendous.
Yes.
I mean, that's a strong word. But you went on to say that the people need to be informed because an informed people is an empowered people. And you left us there. But sheer number of dishonest practice and horrendous discoveries, people have a right to know, sir.
Yeah, they will know. They will know. Baron, I'm clear. I saw how the NDC destroyed itself in the 4.5, 5 years that they were in office, where people were hurting, people wanted relief for all sorts of things in their daily lives. And the government spent all its time, first of all, literally telling lies on its opponent, but character assassinating people. And just literally trying to damage people instead of developing the country and promoting opportunities. My view is that we are gathering all the information, and quite a lot of it, throughout the government service. Not only that, in many statutory bodies. You can't believe people are using the government resources, because statutory bodies owned by governments are government resources. But people are using it if it's their own bank accounts and their own family business. And clearly the public must know, because people are preaching accountability, transparency, integrity and honesty and all these things. And I'm clearly the people will have to know. But we are going to gather all the information as we are doing now, and people will know. But right now, our concentration must be meeting the people's needs outside there, going forward. If I was to go there and spend all my effort in exposing some of the things that we saw, and because you have to concentrate a lot of your energies on more of that, because every day we see in others, then it means we'll spend a little time.
So you're alerting the people.
That's that.
Thank you very much,
They're
sir.
welcome.
We'll take a break here. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Ideally located on Hillsborough Street, St. George's, for your convenience is Oasis in the city, where a team of qualified specialists are waiting to provide quality service in spa manicure, paraffin and herbal facials, including waxing of facial hairs, eyebrows, arms, legs, bikini line and more, massages, back and full body, along with reflexology. For appointments, please call telephone numbers 435-9074 or 534-0959, and one of our qualified specialists will be willing to assist you.
Listen closely and you will hear what climate change might sound like. Hurricanes getting stronger and more frequent. Glaciers melting, causing a rise in sea levels. Dry bush burning after a prolonged drought left the bushes vulnerable to fires.
What? No water again?
But listen closely again and you will hear the solutions. People switching to energy-saving light bulbs. People building stronger homes that can withstand hurricane force winds. Our climate may be changing, but so can we. Making small changes together can have a huge effect on reducing the impacts of climate change. Act now. Rally. Rethink. Respond. This message is brought to you by the OECS Secretariat with funded assistance from USAID.
Kids, tired of those same old boring snacks? Snap out of it and tell Mom snacking is a breeze with Anchor Cheddar Cheese. Try Anchor Cheddar on crackers, in a sandwich, as fruit and cheese kebabs, or on its own, and you'll see snack time is fun again with Anchor. And Moms, Anchor Cheddar is hormone-free and made from the milk of New Zealand cows. That means it's not just tasty, it's healthy. With Anchor Cheddar, you've got great taste.
you get out of the pot? It's just what our home needed.
¿Puedes dejar de trastear? ¿A la izquierda? No. Mucho.
Honey, could you pass me the bread, please?
At Courts, every day we bring affordability, convenience, innovation, and style to over 1 million customers in 11 countries. From homes to communities, we are proud to make a difference in the lives of many across the region. Courts, bringing value home.
CC6 in association with Waggity Rental and Sons Company. The 4th season of CC6 Carnival Knockout rolls out on Saturday, June 29th from 5 p.m. at the Grateful Car Park in Big Parish, St. Andrew. Call your posse now for pure fun and excitement as the battle begins to crown the 2013 CC6 Carnival Knockout Champion. This competition brought to you by CC6 in association with Waggity Rental and Sons Company, Huggins, Agent 4, Angostura, Lipton, and Kleenex. Grenada Bottling Company, Creative Do It Best, Flow, and the Presidente, the official band of CC6 Carnival Knockout. Be at the Grateful Car Park in St. Andrew on Saturday, June 29, 5 p.m. for the CC6 Carnival Knockout.
Superior one-on-one customer service. Phenomenal products customized to your individual style and need. Fast and efficient service are all attributes that have made St. Louis the leading manufacturers of windows and doors for over 30 years in St. Lucia. And we are now pleased to extend our services to you. Try our new single-hung windows, which can be tilted for easy cleaning. Our famous casement windows, which locks with keys for added security. Our gliders, projected aluminum and heavy sliding windows, sliding and commercial doors, commercial shop fronts, and more. Visit us today, building number 19 Frequente Industrial Park, St. George's, or call us at 439-6538.
It's the 2013 Sprite Dunkout and 3-point shootout. When and where? 25th of May, Versailles. 8th of June, Renville. 15th of June, Carenage. 22nd of June, final venue to be announced. 29th of June. It's all starting from 5 p.m. There's gonna be DJs, live performances, giveaways. Watch contestants battle for cash prizes. You could win some too. Adults $5, children $3. You don't want to miss this one. No way.
I just want you back for good.
Live on Community Channel 6 every Saturday, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. It's Sound System Saturday.
Welcome back, viewers. We're here with the Prime Minister of Grenada, Honorable Dr. Keith Mitchell, and we are looking at the first 100 days in office. Dr. Mitchell, the PM of St. Vincent, Dr. Ralph Gonzalez, in response to the rating agency's Moody's, suggestion that the EC dollar be devalued in an effort to address the debt crisis and to enhance the region competitiveness, said that the fundamentals of the dollar are strong. He was speaking at the OECS heads where you were present. What were the fundamentals he was talking about as strong in reference to the dollar, sir?
I think he's talking about the fact that, don't forget, each dollar that we have in circulation is matched to some tied to U.S. Foreign exchange components, and therefore that aspect is reasonably favorable at this particular time. There are some challenges because of some of the problems faced with some of the governments in the region. I think also is referring to the fact that with the present fixed exchange that we have, that has helped, and the fact that we have this situation where the central bank controls how we operate, it has brought some semblance of stability and order. Changing that at this time without any serious crisis as the dollar faced will not send the right message. And therefore I think we all agree that, and the central bank governor also agree, and there is not a large cry in the international community about the need to downgrade our currency to any extent. So I agree with Prime Minister Rob Gonsalves that sometimes these organizations make statements from outside the region, looking at a certain data and not understanding the data themselves, and making statements and concluding statements about what we should do without understanding the real situation we are faced with.
You're seen by all as you are in fact.
Let me use an example.
Please.
In the 80s, Barbados was asked to devalue its dollar. The Prime Minister then did not agree, and faced some tough decisions, that he made some tough decisions instead. And it turned out later that he was absolutely correct. He lost an election, but had he downgraded the dollar, Barbados would have been seeing and paying for that decision all up to now. So I don't think you make those decisions very lightly. There must be much more deeper problems in the system for you to do so.
You're a senior regional politician. You've been in and out. I mean, you've had some time out. And as you go back into regional politics, as you look at the regional issues, what is your focus? What are your priorities? What are you bringing to the table as a priority for the region to make CME, all these various organs work, sir?
I think fundamentally, I would be literally speaking very clearly on the issue of the advancement of technology within our governmental system as a whole, because I believe that is the instrument that will provide us the opportunity to compete and to our children to have the opportunity that they need to have as we go deeper into the 21st century. So I will be articulating issues related to the need to give the CKLN project much more support than the governments have done in recent times. The need also to sensitize our people as to the value of the technological advances in our system. I think I will be articulating this on the heads of government in my presentation on the opening ceremony. I believe also the question of how do we work together and taking advantage of unifying our services as much as possible. I think reducing cost and bringing more efficiency to our operation. I don't believe we can. We have seen the success of the OECS pharmaceutical operation by joining our efforts and buying bulk.
Economy of scale.
Yes, we have saved a lot. Some of us have not been responsible, as Grenada has been in recent times. But this has worked to the benefit. And I believe we have to do that in education, in healthcare. There is, to me, a good rationale for, say, a country like Grenada saying, look, brings up its healthcare system to a certain level, and it provides a certain level of service in a particular area, maybe dialysis, that serves the entire OECS, because I don't think every country can afford to find the resources to have a dialysis system on operation and to fund it appropriately. So I believe that we have to bring. I bring also the concept of the need to transportation. This issue is a serious problem. We're talking a lot about freedom of movement, single market and economy and sharing and so on, and we don't have any transport for people to travel.
Look, I heard you raise this point concerning that, but I investigated, I looked at it.
Yes.
A ticket to Barbados, approximately $1,100. There are about 7 local fees and surcharge. All these monies, however, are going to the airport authority, not to the government, and therefore the question is, how do you really, what do you remove from it?
Well, it's the government,
indirectly.
I don't think you heard the last statement that I made with respect to the whole question of transport. I said that it is clear that the taxes of government has in fact resulted in the ticket price being as high as it is.
Yes.
I'm also clear that the inefficiency of the airlines have also resulted in higher costs. I'm also clear that the unions have a role to play in reducing cost to the transportation system and services. And if government, for example, says, look, we will cut taxes by this percentage, and everyone makes similar contributions, and LIAT gets its act together and modernizes its operation, we move the wastage in the system. There's no doubt of the inefficiency of LIAT. I was Minister of Communications way back in the 80s. And therefore, if all three, and including unions, look at this, and the business community have a role, because if the hotel industry reduces its rates to make it easier and cheaper for people to holiday in countries, I think we're in a win-win situation. While government may get less on every individual traveling, the multiple amount of persons that will come will, in fact, government will not end up with less revenue. LIAT will then be able to fill its planes, not just LIAT, all the other airlines. The people will then be able to travel. There will be a greater understanding of the concept of integration. In other words, the region as a whole will benefit. The business community will also benefit. The hotel industry will fill a number of the empty rooms that they have. It seems to me that the time has come for us to sit down, all of us, and say, listen, what are we prepared to offer government in reducing the cost? The LIAT says what it's prepared to do to reduce costs. The business community, the hotels say, what am I prepared to do to reduce the hotel rates? And everyone do. If everyone does that,
I have callers online, but I have to go to the line. Good evening, caller. Go ahead, please.
Mr. Byron, I want you to add 3 words to your vocabulary tonight: mama guy, bramble, and tomfoolery. The package of promises sold by the NNP in relation to the first 100 days was not kept. NNP is in labor, unable to deliver. We ask that you talk less. We cannot afford to be paying actors. What Grenada needs is action in order to progress. Time to stop complaining and blaming NDC, Hurricane Ivan, economic crisis. Use your initiative to apply creative thinking to make things happen to resurrect Grenada's dead economy. The crisis outside there is for jobs, sustainable and permanent ones, not the demand, not the bushing or Imani. And I retire, so I ain't looking for work. Where are the investors who were lined up waiting to come in? Every day we hear it in the next 2 weeks. What about Lewis Hamilton? Only start turning on projects and no actual work. To date, example, CCC, and I call the office. You had 2 set turnings in Karakou. And you remember when NNP was in office, the Islander Hotel, people saw turn, people relocated, no jobs to date.
Thank you very much, caller. That's all the time we have. Thank you very much, caller. We have another caller online. Good evening, caller. Please go ahead, please, caller.
Good evening,
good evening,
Mr. Campbell.
Good evening.
And I want to say good evening to the Honorable Prime Minister.
Good evening.
Prime Minister, I have 2 questions I would like to ask you. I understand that the NNP administration is in some form of negotiations with the IMF. It is being bandied about that the creditors to whom we owe money are saying that they are not willing to deal with Grenada on a bilateral basis, but they want to bring in the IMF in any negotiations. Now, given that fact, I want to ask 2 questions to the Prime Minister. Does Grenada have a locally grown structural adjustment plan in the making, should in case we cannot come to some final agreement with the IMF? That is question 1. And question 2 is, what gives our Honorable Prime Minister the confidence that coming out of a deal with the IMF, he would be able to ensure that Grenada doesn't feel any pain from such negotiations, and that we are going to ensure that we get the best deal out of these negotiations? I ask this in light of the fact that when we look internationally at what has happened with all of the negotiations with the IMF in terms of Greece and Spain and Jamaica and all the other countries, and we know from history that countries do not end up dealing with the IMF unless it is last resort. And when you end up with the IMF, you obviously at that time have to accept whatever conditions they set for you in order to get help. How are we going to get past that?
Thank you very much, caller.
First of all, I don't agree with the caller that those we owe money. He said they're not dealing with us unless we deal with the IMF. That's not factual in many of the cases. So the IMF is important as an international institution, and therefore having its backing in the whole restructuring process is good business. And therefore we should not want to do it otherwise, because it's good to have it. Remember, not just the IMF, we have governments who are also involved. We have the World Bank and other institutions involved. What I would say at this point in time, we have not accepted any program at this particular time. We are developing our own locally homegrown program. What I cannot promise, my brother, is that there will not be any pain. I cannot promise that, because I've made it point over and over that we've made some terrible decisions in recent time. We have bloated our public sector, and we have not done what we're supposed to do in developing our productive sector. So we have to take decisions.
So severe domestic adjustments may be part of it.
We have to do it. It's not about IMF, it's about us. Yeah. If we hope to leave our children with a better future, we better make the hard choices now. So I cannot promise there will be no pain. And in fact, that's why in going forward, and many of the positions that we have to fill, we have been insisting. Some people are coming and tell us, look, well, X was getting that amount 4 years ago and 3 years ago. I said, this is not the time to talk about providing salaries similar to what was given before, because this government cares about the average man.
So you're not ruling out a fund program, IMF program,
that
is domestically designed?
Well, a fund-backed program,
yes,
which Grenada is taking ownership with. That is a
I think the other point too, in the arbitration process, there is likely to be some debtors that are saying, look, I'm not prepared to go this way, I'm going to court.
No.
This may what about Taiwan, for example?
No.
In this case.
But let me tell you this. We have had recent discussion. We have made tremendous progress. Another things we have not been able to say yet, because until it is signed on the dotted line. But significant progress have been made with almost all our debtors so far.
Okay.
And I'm extremely hopeful that we will end up with a much better package than we ended up after Ivan and Emily when we did restructuring also. And I'm confident that the IMF understands Grenada's situation, and they will not be able to tell us exactly what we have to do, but we'll join work together.
What is the preparation? How are you preparing the nation? How are you preparing the nation for the adjustments that's going to come? I mean, that's the question.
Well, I think in a way we have been telling the nation, because I've sounded early in my term in office to say to people, look, the public service is already bloated. Remember the first budget, I said how we were going to reduce it? By not hiring people, a hiring freeze in the service. We are going to, people who are working in government, if there is a service to be provided, we have to go on contracts more than permanent established posts being filled when it's necessary. And we're taking a number of decisions. For example, the traveling budget has been cut to a bare minimum. We have moved to look at rental properties all over the place. I think that is one of the reasons the international institution is so happy with this government, because it recognizes that we're taking some of the tough decisions, that we're not saying to people, help us, and at the same time, we're trying to live as nice as possible. We are making the hard choices.
We go to the line. Good evening, caller. Go ahead, please.
Good night, Brian, and good night to your guest. I would like to ask two questions to Dr. Mitchell. Dr. Mitchell, will you be running in the next general election, since you will be very close to 70 years? That's the first question.
You're predicting my age?
The second question relates to the amount of persons who have been fired since the new National Party administration came into power. I could recall you indicating that you will not fire anyone or change one brand of workers with the next. But I know of quite a number of young persons and persons who have been fired by your administration What do you have to say on that, sir? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, caller.
I think I heard the caller. You're one of those who have sent home? I don't know. I think you sent yourself home. Anyhow, caller, first of all, let me make it very clear that we have not fired people who have been producing in the service and giving serious service to the country. One of the things that we have to get clear is that, and the system must come to terms with this. I have said, I remember my first public session, I was asked a question of a number of persons who were hired in the past by the past government doing literally nothing, just drawing salaries, major emoluments, doing nothing. I remember my first public session. The press was there. I said I give them credit for the political job they were doing, but I also welcome their departure. And in fact, in some cases, we have welcomed their departure. And I have no apologies to make for this, because a government is elected to take decisions to build back a country, knowing where we were. Not only that, we have to accept the fact that some of the policies of the last government, in fact, impoverished this country in many, many respects. And for us to keep the same personnel who are doing nothing but shouting political jargon and not producing, and have them on the taxpayers' back, I think this would be highly unacceptable. And I don't know that any government could be serious to say that was a mistake in any way possible. So, caller, we have not fired productive people. We have not got rid of any productive persons. In fact, you will find there some other persons who are now still on the public payroll might in fact be retired in the public interest. If you are there blocking space and you're not performing and you're causing the system to clog up and retard, then clearly those in authority would be abdicating its fundamental responsibility not to do something about it. But one thing I tell you this, we will work very closely with the social partners, with the unions, and so far it has been working well, in my view, and we will not do anything that abrogates our responsibility to the workforce and to our responsibility to a good atmosphere as far as our social relationships with the social partners are concerned.
Would you be contesting the next election, sir?
Oh, I didn't. The caller seemed to be predicting my age. First of all, I did say recently, there seemed to be so much preoccupation with my contesting and not contesting. That's why the opposition should spend less worrying about me and think about themselves. But let me say this, I've said over and over, given a lot of years of service to this country, and my wish would be to end, or the end of this term. That would be my wish. But a politician in my position who feels so strongly about this country cannot make any statement that he will never run.
As we talk about the election, the OAS mission, but let me go to the line. I think we have a caller here. Good evening, caller. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good evening,
good
Brian.
Evening.
Good evening, Brian, and good evening, Dr. Mitchell.
Good evening.
Dr. Mitchell, I find it rather strange that at every opportunity you get to speak within the hearing of the public, you condemn and you criticize the last government for this, that, and the other wrong thing that they had done. You speak of the high levels of corruption that took place under the Honorable Tillman Thomas. Yet, you have not been able to come forward with anything specific about any specific incident of corruption that they were engaged in. You do make general statements, yes, but you fail to be specific.
Wait, my friend.
Is it because, let me just finish here. Is it because you have not been able to come up with anything concerning any corrupt acts that they had done to bring before the people?
Thank you very much, caller.
Take time to know her, my friend. Just take time. Stay tuned. You will get a mouthful. But as I said, the timing is important and the priority. You see, unlike the previous government, my dear sister, we believe we are elected to bring benefits to the people of the country. And let me say that further. You have not heard me. In fact, I've said over and over, we resist the temptation to just blame and blame. We have not done this. We have taken responsibility for where the country is at this time, where we have taken it over from the previous government, and we are doing everything to change the status quo. What we have done is refer to things that they were mentioning and talking about in a general way, but we will provide specifics later. But our concentration is jobs and opportunities for the country.
So about jobs and opportunities, sir, I mean, we hear multiple of projects being launched. One of the issues faced the last government had to do with absorptive capacity, the ability to implement, sir. How is all that possible in terms of the administration implementing all these projects? What is the true situation with these projects as they come on stream?
Well, most of the projects we're talking about would be private sector driven. That's the key. They're not government-led programs. There would be temporary programs that you will see from next week. You will see a number of that outside there. And there will be, of course, a small business loan scheme would provide opportunities. But the investment we're talking about, a private sector-led investment. Government's role is to facilitate the private sector activities and to provide the necessary concessions and facilitate areas that they want concessions. That is the government role. So I expect that the private sector project will in fact be implemented and implemented on time.
One of the issues recently, in fact, the Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs reported in a post-cabinet briefing, I think it was yesterday, that the government has now formally resumed beach sand mining, albeit in a number of designated beaches, in consultation with various departments, the Ministry of Environment, Construction, etc., as a policy to reduce the cost of sand for construction. But Grenada, what we hear in the other islands are saying, essentially, is that beach sand mining is too valuable. The sand on beaches are too valuable. The environmentalists are saying, look, beach erosion in terms of climate change is just a bad practice. Is the government aware of the implications of this policy, of beach sand mining?
We did say it's a temporary measure. And remember, debate in the United States and all around the world is about a balance between environmental issues and development. When you listen to Republicans and Democrats, that's the debate. And that debate is a relevant debate. So we have said that we have strong views on protecting our environment. We have strong views on providing opportunities for people. So there must be a balance between both of those. And as we announced, the evidence has shown that we could afford to mine sand in those selective areas.
We've not heard the beaches.
Without hurting the beaches.
We've not heard about the beaches. Which are the specific beaches that you proposed them on?
I can't tell you the list right now, but it was. I believe it was announced.
Yeah, we didn't.
Well, I'm not sure. In fact, cabinet made a decision on the beaches involved. If I tried calling a name, I might call the wrong names. So I'm not going to state it here. But the beach names have been.
The environmentalists are saying it is reckless.
No, well, let's face it. We have to get the economy going. We have to take decisions to improve economic activity in the country. We have announced a temporary measure. It's not a permanent measure. The medium-term and final recommendation as far as materials are concerned for building would be crushed materials. Equipment have been ordered. Friendly governments are helping. We expect that will be not far from now.
Fine.
So we'll be able to stop sand mining in every aspect.
Good evening, caller. Go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. Good evening. How are you, sir?
Very well. Good evening.
Yes. What I want to ask the last lady who called in, what is it personal she have with the Prime Minister? This is the man we choose to run our country. This is the best. What she have against him? I mean, we saw these people, we hear them on the radio every day. We saw them preach down by the Savoy, all kind of thing. These people doesn't love Grenada. This man who we give him the next 15 years in power, listen to him, but we'll ask him to rule. I just want to touch a little bit on the sand again. We're not intelligent enough to mine sand with control. What happened to we black people? We're not intelligent enough as black people in the Caribbean where we have trillions of tons of sand water to mine it with control. What happened to us? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, caller. We have another caller online. Good evening, caller. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, good evening, Byron.
Good evening.
Good evening, Byron. Good evening, Dr. Mitchell.
Good afternoon. Good evening, my brother.
I have one question for you, sir. My question is, the few people that have jobs that has a vehicle to use as transportation to get to work, do you realize how expensive it is for them when they have to be fixing the car as a result of the bad road? When are you going to start doing something about the roads?
Yes, my brother.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I understand that question.
Thank you very much, caller.
Because we made a lot of noise in opposition that no maintenance was done at all. They just allow the roads to deteriorate. And clearly, we have to, first of all, you don't have a hot mix in the country, so you need a hot mix plant. That takes time. So we are doing what we have to do, and you're going to see a number of maintenance gang out from next week. Because we couldn't do it without the resources to do it. Remember, everyone must remember, when we took office, the present government for 6 months were not able to pay salaries. Most times were selling assets to pay salaries. Yeah. So that was an admittance that they had absolutely no resources. And we didn't have the assets to be able to get resources. Mm-hmm. Now, so we had to do a lot of work. We had to, in fact, check with our friends regionally and internationally to be able to raise resources, to be able to do the things that we are starting to do now. And therefore, you will see, my brother, more maintenance and organized maintenance service on the road network. You know that our government historically is known to have been one of the better governments as far as the infrastructure development. Even our opposition has agreed that one of our success stories was in infrastructural development.
We have a caller online. Dr. Mitchell, the OAS mission report, the observation mission to Grenada earlier this month presented its report on the election of February 19. In this report, the mission recommended to the government a comprehensive review, first of all, of the electoral framework, the legal framework. But important, they're asking for the enactment of campaign finance regulations, promotion of women's participation in the electoral process, and the strengthening of work of the Parliamentary Election Office. But would your government enact laws to regulate campaign financing as the report has recommended, sir?
That is a decision, not just for the one party within government, mm-hmm. It's for the people of the country. Mm-hmm. And that's certainly something we should look at. I think we are moving into an atmosphere and a time period in which people are more concerned about the financing of political organization. The question you have to ask is what are you going to replace it with? Are you going to ask the taxpayers to finance the political work of the political parties? I'm not so sure that we're in a position to do so now. And therefore, in what form, how are you expecting that monies will be raised to be able to finance a campaign? So while you criticize the present system, and there's valid reason to do so, one has to have a very good alternative. And I think we have to search as a country for that alternative. But let me just make this point as far as electoral. One observation which I believe is extremely valid, because I think it's something we need to look at, is the question where the supervisor of elections and the powers to be are literally in control of the system. Mm-hmm. I'm in government now, so I can talk critically of it. I honestly believe that we should have an electoral commission, mm-hmm. with members of the opposition, mm-hmm. and government, mm-hmm. as part. And the persons who work there are accountable to that group, that body, not to the Governor General.
So that's the legal framework that you're looking at.
It has to, but it has to. It requires constitutional change. St. Lucia has it. Unfortunately, we had our constitution. Mm-hmm. We did not put that in. Mm-hmm. So I honestly believe that is an important change. Mm-hmm. And I'm not talking about this because I only saw the problem when we were in opposition. Mm-hmm. I think it's something a fundamental weakness in the system, and I believe the country would be better off to have an electoral commission that is unbiased or have representation from the major political parties, mm-hmm. and that the supervisor is not a lot unto himself or herself, which in recent times, too much power.
We go back to the line. Good evening, caller. Go ahead, please. Good evening, caller. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good evening.
I'm just calling to congratulate my Prime Minister for his job he done so far, and have a good night.
Thank you, my dear.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
So, Mr. Prime Minister, as we come to the end of the program, you talk about emphasis being made on what you foresee coming up in terms of the next month, the bushing, the road maintenance. What's this going to cost us? So do we have adequate resources as we speak now to go forward with this thrust that you make reference to?
I'm not the person that would put people out of work and then tell them that they have to wait for 6 months or months to get paid. So if we are going to put people out of work, we better know that we have the resources to do precisely this. So no, we are managing ourselves. We are doing what we have to do to provide hope outside there. And I'm confident that what we are doing will certainly lift the spirits of the country, and we'll continue to do things. I think one of the things we must look to in the next few months is the private sector initiatives that will in fact come in stream. Mm-hmm. Where I sit, I can tell you, expect it. I know there are some people hoping.
I would want to go a little in the private sector, but let me take a short break and come right back to that, Dr. Mitchell. Yeah. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
CC6, in association with Waggity Rental and Sons Company, the 4th season of CC6 Carnival Knockout rolls out on Saturday, June 29th from 5 p.m. at the Gridman Car Park in Big Parish, San Andrew. Call your posse now for pure fun and excitement as the battle begins to crown the 2013 CC6 Carnival Knockout Champion. This competition brought to you by CC6 in association with Waggity Rental and Sons Company, Huggins, Agent 4, Angostura, Lipton, and Kleenex, Grenada Bottling Company, Creative Do It Best, Flow, and the Presidente, the official band of CC6 Carnival Knockout. We at the Grenville Car Park in San Andrew on Saturday, June 29, 5 p.m. for the CC6 Carnival Knockout.
Have you heard the great news?
Of course. Now you can talk as you like with Flow.
When we sign up right now for Flow's Talk As You Like, we can each get a free cordless phone.
Now I can talk to my friends and family on landlines in over 50 international destinations.
Plus, I can also talk to all my contacts in the USA, Canada, and India on landlines or mobile.
Sign me up. I'm going to talk as I like with Flow. Flow. Watch. Talk. Click.
Flow Rhythms of Summer is here. Sunday, July 14 at the University Club in Lansapine, featuring Emerson Nurse and Barbara Cadet from St. Lucia. Local acts Caress, Men from the Mainland, Quiet Fire and Zama and Friend. Also featuring Mr. Killer and Brother B in a new different groovy style. Fashion show and Pan Wizards from 4 p.m. Concert at 5 p.m. Tickets $50. More at the door. On sale at Nicky's, Flow Outlets, and Ardent Soul in Grand Dance. 12 and under pay $20 at the door. Flow Rhythms of Summer, Sunday, July 14th from 4 p.m. at the University Club, Lansapine. Sponsored by Flow, CC6, Hubbards, Board of Tourism, Supreme Sounds, WeFM, Independence Agencies, Barefoot Wine, Wester Hall Estate, Gabriel's Rental, Francis Catering, SGU, Glen Elg, Autumn Soul, Ocean Grill, and Flamboyant Hotel.
Electrical safety tips. Stay away from power lines. Do not climb trees near power lines. Do not set ladders or scaffolds close to service wires connected to houses and buildings. Do not use electrical appliances near water. When working, make sure no electric wires run through the branches. Wear sturdy rubber-soled shoes when working with electric tools outdoors. Do not place any signs or posters on utility poles. This practice is dangerous, even life-threatening to the professionals who maintain our lines of electricity.
Be smart, be safe.
Connect, explore, and engage with the latest in digital products from the world's best brands, only at Quartz. Get a free LG mobile phone when you purchase the LG 42-inch Super Slim HD Plasma TV for only $29.99. Or save $200 when you get the LG DVD CD Mini System for only $9.99. Connect, explore, and engage now, only at Quartz, bringing value home.
Meet the team that delivers accurate, balanced, and credible news daily. CC6 Newsnight for 5 consecutive years tops the awards for media excellence by the Media Workers Association of Grenada. CC6 Newsnight, your most trusted source for news on Community Channel 6, your home for local programming.
Jockey's Motors, huge shocks guaranteed.
Guaranteed more fish than Finding Nemo.
Wow!
Ladies and gentlemen, behold the wonders of the deep.
This sucks. Yep.
We won't take you for a ride. Insurance is a promise to pay. At Beacon, we keep our promises.
Welcome back, viewers. We're here with the Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, Prime Minister. Dr. Mitchell, I mean, your campaign, we would deliver, one of the big thrusts had to do with young people. Of course, the majority of the population are the young people. What has happened so far in your administration? We've had a launching of the Imani program, but where's it going? What's really happening as we speak, sir?
Yeah, the formal launching and the intake of young people into the program will be on the 1st of July. That's Monday, I believe is the 1st. And the first batch will be 1,000 young persons throughout the length and breadth of the country. And they're phased in to the maximum, as you know, as we said, over 3,000 plus. Where young people will be given an opportunity to be trained and to learn a skill, and at the same time to empower themselves with knowledge, and at the same time provide some service to the community and to the country as a whole. So that program, we believe, is going to be one of the proud programs of the new National Party. I think the Ministry of Youth, led by Minister Emlyn Pierre, has been working night and day. Because let's face it, to bring a program that can get the support of the Regional Examination Council and to have support from the private sector within a few months, 2-3 months coming into office, and to be able to do so successfully takes a lot of energy and a lot of sacrifice and a lot of hard work on the part of the people in the Ministry of Youth. And I think I need to compliment the Minister and the public servants and the Ministry of Youth for the work and the volunteers, the many volunteers who came forward to help to deal with the administrative aspects of the startup of this program. I think it's a big plus and a big positive for this country. And certainly we will continue to invest, because I believe if we fail to protect our young people, we'll fail to protect this country.
As we come to the end of the program, Dr. Mitchell, because I don't want you to miss your gym in the morning, but you know, the debt restructuring as we sends the signal to the international community that we have been living above our means, financial instability. In light of the present economic situation, what are you going to do to change that image that it's going to create, and how soon is that going to happen, sir?
Let's face it, the country didn't have that image before 2008 because we were meeting our debts. Whatever we were doing, the economy was growing, and that's the point I made earlier on. No matter what else we do, the growth of the economy has to be fundamentally a number one priority. And we've told all institutions, including the IMF and others, that any program, any advice that is given to us that does not include serious growth in the economy will not be taken seriously. Because that is the fundamental aspect of what will in fact move this country forward. And therefore, the emphasis is going to be on expansion of the tourism opportunities. And we are, as I told you, we'll see a lot of movement there. We are deepening our diversification and work in the agricultural sector. A number of young Grenadians, for example, a young St. Bernard in Butch Grove with his operation, when I went there in opposition, I saw the potential. I said, look, if we get into government, rest assured we'll work with you. And he's been able to demonstrate to us the job potential that can come from it and the foreign exchange earnings that will come. Is that
a value?
Oh, yes. Yeah. And therefore, we are in deep discussions with them now for government's help in maximizing the potential there. And we are doing so with a number of local entities. We are now in discussion with the poultry farmers around the country to really provide soft loans, an opportunity, and training, of course, and the necessary support system to maximize the opportunities in the development of our local poultry industry. because as we know the value of eating more local product as opposed to some of the hormone developed meat that come into our country. So we are going to be doing this in the fishing industry, we'll be doing it in the hotel sector, we'll be doing it also in the agricultural sector. So we'll maximize the potential that we have in the productive sector of the economy. And don't forget, the investment in small business activity is going to be crucial. We have already set up the window in the Grenada Development Bank for small loans to local persons with initiative to do things, and it's going to be an accountable system. In other words, you have to show that you can in fact do what you say you want to do. We are going to be also now accessing the Caribbean Development Fund, which the previous government could not, because they did not pay their shares into the operation. So now we're going to be accessing millions of dollars. That will go to GDB to further expand the business opportunities in the country as a whole. So we are working on all fronts. And those who are wishing and talking about 100 days as if 100 is just a number, 100 is a period. Those who are wishing to see the NNP fail, I have bad news for you.
Doc, you have no opposition in the parliament. One of the participatory democracy you spoke about is a sort of parish council. I mean, this is reminiscent of the PRG that had a local reporting system. What exactly do you have in mind, sir? How is this going to work?
Well, we are now going to Cabinet on Monday with a program that Cabinet will, of course, be able to analyze and, of course, conclude on. It is going to be very much along the lines of the parish, village, and constituency councils or groupings, so to speak. And we expect to engage the public.
Is it
it's participatory in the
not
sense
partisan.
that clearly, if we have something that is NNP, then we don't need to do that. I mean, keep the parliament.
Okay, fine.
Just keep the NNP lower house. Yes,
okay.
But we expect to have persons of any political affiliation involved, because we believe that the better performance of a minister will be when he or she is challenged. If we don't face challenges as individual in anything we do, we are usually not necessarily at our best. So having the opportunity to face persons who may have alternative viewpoints is in fact would be very good for the parliamentarians and good for the government. And we intend to enhance that particular operation of meeting the people and listening to the people and answering the tough questions.
You've been accused of being dictatorial. What kind of form, administration, structure do you operate your cabinet and your parliamentarians? How does it work, sir?
Well, I think you would ask them. They will tell you that if I was supposed to be a dictator, I'm a very bad one, because in the sense that every member of our team, I can tell you that they feel that they have a viewpoint that is given serious consideration in the context of the team operation. And I believe that we will see over the next coming months, more and more of our MPs will be out there in their own way, taking initiative and serving their community as much as they have as members of cabinet will, and doing it in a way that people recognize that they had opportunity to do so without the dictate of any one individual.
Any closing comment, Dr. Mitchell?
No, I value this opportunity to talk to members of the public and to listen to questions. I listen to some of my friends, in particular my friend who I see in the mornings. I come out from Mount Royal every morning, and to say to them that we need everybody, and even people that might not share our views, we believe you have an important role to play, if only to just give it a different opinion. And we value it, and we'll continue to feel that everyone has an important role to play. Tonight, we were part of a retirement ceremony with the public employees who have retired. Over 120 of them have in fact retired. And there was ceremony, a sending off for them. And I thought it was a very moving ceremony. And I thought it was very important for the country to recognize and, of course, to give credit for those who have served us and are now in retirement, and to say thanks to them. And I want to say on behalf of the country once again, thanks to all of you who served Grenada, Carriacou, and Peter Martic.
Thank you very much for coming, Dr. Mitchell. We hope you'll come again. Viewers, thank you. That's all the time we have. Thanks for being there, and we'll see you next week. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.